What's up, everybody? Celtic Scarecrow here, back with another video. Get those 10s and 20 views. I got a hair in my eye. But it is the first Tuesday of the month, which means it's time for my cartoon slash anime of the month. And oof, I have a good one for you. A show that does everything, and I mean everything, that everybody wants. Diversity, a unique good story, cool heroes, cool villains, paying homage to the work, not making it overly woke, but still being really cool that neither side of the political sphere would hate. And that show is That's right, Static Shock. God, I love this show. I want a live-action Static Shock. Please. Please, you could just rip off the cartoon. That's be perfect. Static went full Spider-Man. And I'll explain to me why I mean by that. Spider-Man is, as we all know, was a normal teenage boy, nerd, bullied, got bit by a radioactive spider, had superpowers, decided to defend his city across an array of villains. I say that because, I just beat both Spider-Man games. But Static took the same approach with a slight DC twist to it. Static is about a young boy, 14 years old. Actually, I forgot to mention, this show came out in 2000. I am old. I am brittle. Because I remember this when it came out, and I was just in the 7th grade, I think I was. Ran 4 seasons, and it's 52 episodes long. It is a slightly longer than I have suggested in the past, but trust me, it's worth it. Now back to the actual plot. The plot of the show is Virgil Hawkins, 14-year-old boy, simple, normal family, annoying older sister who's a college student. His dad is a widowed, like a guidance counselor at the local youth center. His mom was a paramedic who unfortunately died during a violent riot. Pretty sure we've seen plenty of those lately. But he was, just your average kid. Smart, cracked jokes, had his best friend who had his back, and a bully named Francis. Insert the Deadpool clip here. Where's Francis? Francis was interested in the same girl as Virgil. And of course, he looks like a D-bag from the early 2000s who probably drives a Jeep. Looks like he would say, bro, what? That guy. That's what. Look at him. Just look at him. But of course, and he's also a gang leader. So, gangs, yay. Where a different gang leader, Wade, stepped in and kind of was like, no, Francis, you ain't doing this to my man. I got his back. And recruited Francis to join his gang, which he kind of did and did not join. He wanted to kind of explain, like, hey, thanks for watching my back, but I'm not a gangster. My dad would be extremely disappointed in me, and they're like, well, We set up a brawl to end all this, and you're coming with us. Oh, and by the way, here's a gun for you to use. And he's just like, oh shit. I stepped in it. End up chucking the gun in the rip.
Time to go the permanent route, little bro. This way.
Oh man, I stepped into it big this time.
And as he was about ready to leave, the cop showed up, because why wouldn't they? And they launched tear gas into the fight, mixed with a chemical. I do not know who the chemical bad guy is. It's a bad guy. But the chemicals mixed, explosion, purple mist seeped out, and everyone who inhaled it end up getting superpowers or mutated in weird ways. Didn't matter if you're in the fight or not, as long as you're within the area. Like one episode, they show how a star athlete ended up getting it, and he kind of deals with the change of it. A homeless girl who has it and deals with it, a normal smart girl. And of course, Virgil. And later on, his best friend, because he kind of the one who picked him up, carried his ass home. But anyway, so Virgil realized, hey, I have powers. And like every normal teenager in DC, in the DC universe, was like, superhero, yay. Unfortunately, the Big Bang, as they was now being known, created a lot of bang babies. Yeah, it's 2000, that's how we name things. And Virgil says, you know what, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna fight him. And God, the list. Look at this. Is just a photo I found of just the villains. They were really cool, unique. Like one of the cool female ones. Yes, this show did hit diversity the right way by just saying you have cool powers. Like this young lady, Puff, who can just was a living embodiment of gas. But, you know, the main bad guys of the show were, of course, Francis, who turned into Hot Streak, who can throw fireballs, and Ivan. I did not write that is the character what he went by, and he was more or less the super main bad guy. Francis was just kind of like the reoccurring jackass that Static had to fight. He's more like the Penguin to Batman, where Ebon is true Joker. You know, Static electricity uses light, bright. Ebon is a shadow person, pure darkness. He's like the smoke guy from My Hero. That's pretty much Ebon. And there was actually another cool bad guy who kind of eventually becomes a good guy, and that's the Rubber Band Man. I'm not saying the naming process for these heroes were great, but the show is. Rubber Band Man started off the villain. He is the younger brother of Ebon, and eventually starts realizing, no, also falls in love with Static's sister, and says, I need to really change my life. Becomes a good guy and an older brother to Static. Static also did what the early 2000s did often, and which was crossovers. Shaq was a part of the crossover. I don't know why. It was 2000. Shaq was in his prime. Like, he did a movie where he was a genie, I think. I don't want to Google it because I don't feel like looking up. But he did crossover with the Justice League. even the villains had good crossover. Like, oh look, here's a femme fatale group. Anyone else scared of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn being a mentor? Which does mean he teamed up with Batman. And eventually, Batman Beyond, he got sent into the future. I don't remember the episode. That was him. But what made Static so great, so memorable, and the reason why it's so good is it dealt with a lot of real world issues. There was a whole episode dedicated to a kid being bullied and Virgil and Richie trying to be good guys and help him. But unfortunately, the kid did end up bringing a gun to the school and accidentally shooting Richie in the leg. Survived. We're good. But it does raise like awareness of bullying that can lead to an escalation that we don't want to get to. The homeless girl I think I mentioned earlier got ice powers, and that was another issue of teenage homelessness that they brought into the show. And racism. They did address racism. Richie's dad being a racist piece of shit. Richie, knowing this, never brings Virgil over. The one time he thinks his dad working the night shift, Virgil comes over, meets Richie's dad, and he says a bunch of not great things. And Virgil overhears and leaves, goes home. Richie gets pissed off and does what a lot of teenagers do, runs away, which causes Richie's dad and Virgil's dad to team up to find his son. And throughout, Virgil's dad more or less kind of gives him the giant speech of like, hey, listen, asshole, your way of thinking is batshit crazy and wrong. Start looking at reality. And actually got through to Richie's dad, I think. Showing that, hey, there is another way of thinking. And from what I understand, I remember Richie's dad did turn over a leaf and start looking at the world in a better way. It also did deal with Static ancestral history because he did take a trip to Africa, Ghana, where he met another superhero, the Spider. And kind of learned his roots and all that other cool stuff. It's a show that hit on a lot of topics that people push the wrong way today. And I do mean they push it the wrong way. Instead of just making things trying to find the best way I can say this. Instead of just making everything to the extreme, Static Shock was just like, we're going to do it in a realistic way and bring it up into the light and hopefully help people understand. Like I said at the start of this video, make a live-action Static Shock show. Stop trying to just flip popular, well-known characters, gender, race, whatever, just to get views. Be like Static. Just go out there and make a cool, badass hero that doesn't matter what this is, and people will love it. But that's it. That's all I have. I will see you weird people later. That was a good one.